you told a funny story about Rahm Emanuel the first time you met him, because I wrote a story this week about a legacy without listening. Tell us that story about the first time you met Rahm Emanuel.
Well, if I could step it back a little bit, the first time I met Lori Lightfoot in this transition period, it was a handshake, some coffee, and a cordial,
This is
discussion.
after the endorsement.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
And, it was basically sitting at a table like this, having a good conversation about what's the future of the city. And I remember when I first met Rahm, it was right after the election, right before inauguration, same time frame. And I walked in, we had a few good, niceties that were exchanged, but then he immediately launched into, I would call it a bit of a tirade against me.
Any profanity involved?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh.
We've always...
Because he kept that in check during his mayoralty.
I think in the public, yes. But not often behind closed doors. And
what did he lace into you about?
Just what I had done to Mayor Daley, and that he didn't, basically the same thing's not going to happen to me. And my viewpoint on it was, all I was doing was what we talked about previously, was pointing out potentially bad things on deals or programs, how we can do things better. And I think he mistook that for challenging the mayor personally, which I've never looked at it that way. Again, when you come out with the facts, that's what you're trying to do. And I remember my staff and I were doing the same thing right now, but we had this spreadsheet that we put together, and we had said, look at all the things, when you're working with the individual departments as a staffer here and listening to the constituents, what are the problems that you see in departments and how can we make them better? So we put this nice spreadsheet together, and I remember handing it to him, and I think he kind of looked and then
threw it away.
And at that moment, I kind of felt like, okay, we're getting off on the bad foot here right off the bat.
And it never got better.
No, I don't think it really did. But that's the way he approached, I think, a lot of other people too when he was in Washington, and I felt it was wrong for Chicago.